barakatuhu. We are back and like a pleasant discussion, some Walker's crisps, some donuts and stuff, cake rusk as well. So we got quite a few stuff. I haven't ate it yet.
Keep your eyes on that.
Yeah, sorry. Right now my eyes are sort of swaying away. So just as a brief sort of summary, I think per the last clip, we have sort of presented adequate evidence to support what we're saying. And again, you could disagree, you could harass me on my Facebook page, you could do whatever you want. And remember, I'm not shy of pressing the block button. If you get disrespectful, that's fair, isn't it?
You've got to go.
I got to work, you know what I mean? I don't want to listen to your nonsense, do you know what I mean? I don't want to see pop up from X, Y, and Z, do you know what I mean? Leave me alone, do you know what I mean? If it bothers you that much, come speak to me at Speaker's Corner. Do you know what I mean? I'm not hard to find. Do you know what I mean? Facebook page, I don't deal with this, do you know what I mean? As much as I want to, I've got stuff to do and I've got, you know what I mean, responsibilities. And I've got to get on with it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to present, so obviously we explain, people might think, hold on here, he's quoting all these 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds, what's wrong? Do you know what I mean? What's this, fascination with the pubescent marriages? No, it's not. We're just presenting an academic perspective in terms of the social norms, 7th century Arabia, and even after. You could go to parts of Africa, Asia, even Europe, to show you exactly how this was the mentality and the societal mentality at the time. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to present 21st century professors. You couldn't do not what we wanted, because you're useless. You can't do anything. But what I mean is, just defend the honor of the Prophet ﷺ. You don't need to be Sunni or Shia to defend the honor of the Prophet ﷺ from an individual, and I don't want to keep mentioning it, but you should have. And what's worse is you're shoulder to shoulder. You're there having a laugh and a joke about it. What he said, what he said. You know what I mean? Indirectly or directly, regardless, you should have some honor for the Prophet ﷺ, which you or respect the Prophet ﷺ, or have jealousy for the Prophet ﷺ if you love him. So it just shows.
What I don't understand is that they invite these people on their platforms to promote.
Like he invited the racist, like he invited that individual who was cursing and using profanity against the black community, our black brothers and sisters, and he was swearing at the Muslims, and he was swearing at the Jews. This guy had no limit, and freedom of speech is there, but with responsibility. It has a responsibility, but you are giving him a platform on your channel. Believe that anyway. You got no principles, mate. You got no standards. So do you know what I mean? You're just a sick, like they say. Okay, what we're going to present now is obviously professors or academics in relation to the marriage of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. What was their perspective? You have to bear in mind they're not Muslims. You have to bear that in mind. They're not Muslims, but they're academics. They understand. They're learned. They're partial.
They're researchers.
They're researchers. You get it? They got no hatred, they got no animosity, they got no bug, they got no haircut. They are what they are, they understand the perspective. So Karen Armstrong is well respected, and Karen Armstrong, as many people know, holds a lot of interfaith meetings and stuff. And the introduction is Karen Armstrong is the author of A History of God and the Spiritual Staircase, among other bestsellers. She is amongst the world's foremost commentators on religion. Most foremost commentators on interfaith. So, an advocate for interfaith study. So let's see what she says in relation to the marriage of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. This book is called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet for Our Time. Okay, this is a book from Karen Armstrong, and we've got another to present as well. So look what she says regarding the marriage of Aisha. What we'll do is we'll also tie in Ali radhiyallahu anha's marriage to Fatima radhiyallahu anha in it as well, because it was a marriage in connection to the social custom at the time, 7th century Arabia, etc., etc. So let's read. She says, there was no impropriety.
Sorry, Ustad, what page number?
Oh, sorry, this is page 105. Okay? So we're going from Western Academics now.
The edition.
Edition, this is Harper Pernilio. Harper Pernilio, to the back.
we're not sure about editions.
What's that?
Inside.
ليس كمثل الكتب العربية.
لا هذه طبعة مختلفة. دار لابن جوزية ودار للكتب اللي لا ده مختلف. Okay, so it says, there was no impropriety in Muhammad's betrothal. What the hell, these words are too big. Betrothal to Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Marriages, listen to this. Marriages conducted in abstinence to seal an alliance were often contracted at this time between adults and minors who were even younger than Aisha. Look at this, academic, not a scumbag off the road who ain't got a clue.
It's talking about marriage.
Marriage, yeah. Remember that.
A contract.
Okay? So we're even younger than Aisha radhiyallahu anha. This practice continued in Europe well into the early modern period. Okay? Okay, so you have to remember that. And look what she says after. there was no question of consummating the marriage until Aisha reached puberty, when she would have been married off like any other girl. Okay? So just to repeat what I just said, there was no impropriety in Muhammad's betrothal, or something like that. Yeah, to Aisha radiallahu anha. There was no impropriety. Okay? Bear that in mind.
Betrothal?
Yeah. B-E-T.
Yeah.
Marriages conducted in abstinent to seal alliance were often contracted at this time between adults and minors who were even younger than Aisha radiallahu anha. So that's first and foremost, and there was no question of consummating the marriage. So this is Karen Armstrong. Now I'm going to get to another book. So bear this in mind. Go buy this book. But those naysayers, those, you know...
it wasn't consummated until he was eligible. The person
puberty.
Physically was there. Yeah, mentally was there.
And look what she said as well. We're going to get to the science books as well. So it says, there was no question of consummating the marriage until Aisha radiallahu anha reached puberty. So what's the bearing factor for a girl to reach womanhood is puberty, menstruation cycle, etc., etc. So we'll get to the science books as well. But this is, for your record, Karen Armstrong Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, prophet of our time. Now we're going to go to another book called Islam, the Basics. Learn the Basics. You snake. Learn the Basics. From Colin Turner. Okay? This is the basics. Go buy it. It's only £10. You get it? I'm sure you get enough donations from your Kemet channel. Okay, so who is Colin Turner? Who is Colin Turner? Colin Turner is a lecturer at the Institute of Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies, University of Durham.
So a lecturer.
A lecturer.
Someone that has credentials.
Yeah.
Anyone can't just be a lecturer. Whichever university around the world, to be honest.
And you ain't got no books published, have you? The one that's so, very, very vocal. Go write a book if you're that intelligent. Go get a publisher to publish your works. You ain't academic. You're just a hater. You're an enemy of Islam. You just want to cause friction and division in the park. If you were an academic, you would agree. This is a non-Muslim academic. You're just a hater. So let's get back to Colin Turner. I'll repeat Colin Turner. Is a lecturer at the Institute for Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies, University of Durham. Look what he says. Subhanallah. He goes, unsurprisingly, one of the charges levelled against the Prophet ﷺ by his detractors, you and your likes. And where was Bayt al-Ghadi to defend? Non-Muslims defending the Prophet ﷺ. Non-Muslim.
So you're referencing and talking to an individual.
I'm talking to a group.
Oh,
because they're all connected one way or another.
Yeah.
You're very new to this.
Yeah.
Leave them. I'll explain the politics. Right about now, just we'll get to that later. Once I have a few donuts, I'll be okay. So, unsurprisingly, one of the charges levelled against the Prophet ﷺ by his detractors is that his relationship with Aisha was tantamount to child abuse. Unsurprisingly. So even an academic was saying, unsurprisingly. Fair. A marriage between an older man and a young girl was customary among the Bedouins. Customary. As it's still in many societies across the world today. Okay? It was not unheard of in Muhammad ﷺ's time for boys and girls to be promised to each other in marriage almost as soon as they were born, particularly if the union was of direct political significance to families concerned. So the Prophet ﷺ married Aisha, and who was the political, what was the aim? To strengthen his relationship with Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. So he had that in mind, but Aisha was promised to the Prophet as per the hadith in Bukhari. So we'll get to that another day. You don't accept that, but you accept donkeys narrating from each other, so we'll get to that soon. Okay? So look what it says now, the next part, very important. However, such marriages were almost certainly not consummated until both parties has entered adulthood. So Aisha radiallahu anha would have most certainly entered adulthood, which, listen to this, which Arabs in the 7th century tended to reach at earlier age than Westerners today. Shall I repeat that? Is that something worthy? I think I should repeat that, shouldn't I? And I'm going to go with the flow. So let's go to the last part. However, such marriages were almost certainly not consummated until both parties had entered adulthood, which Arabs in the 7th century tended to reach at an earlier age than Westerners today. Okay? And he mentions it was customary, and the marriage between an older man and young girl was customary amongst the Bedouins. So Bedouins meaning pre-Islamic, Jahiliyyah, and after. It was customary. It was 7th century Arabia.
When you see something norm, because remember, these rules and regulation guidelines, they change over time to time, place to place, culture to culture. So when you see something that is norm and widespread, even at those times, and they agree that okay, it's a culture. Yeah, you can't really turn around and label him.
But this is the thing I don't understand, that none of the people around him, around at that time, complained regarding his marriage. The Jews or the Christians.
We're coming to that.
Oh, okay.
We're coming to that, and we would also hopefully reference some other academical people who are researchers and scholars from Muslims and non-Muslims who've actually researched into that and said mentioned about this, that no one from the non-Muslims or the haters of the Prophet ﷺ during the early time has ever mentioned anything about that.
They never used it as evidence against his prophethood.
Never.
Even the Meccans of Quraysh didn't.
Because their aim was to put down Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
They did everything.
That's it.
They did everything.
If
physically,
they knew the slightest thing to break him down,
exploit it,
then they would use it.
Yeah.
And if obviously that was something wrong to them, then they would have spoken about it, which they didn't.
He's possessed by magic or whatever, and
he's speaking just like that.
But they never ever used this as to
they even tried to indirectly they even said, look, remember when they came up to him and said, look, stop your da'wah, we'll give you women if you want, we'll give you money if you want. So this hadith, mafhum al-mukhalafa, that is that, indirectly showing that, look, he could have done it for, they could have still used that and said, look, he was doing it for greedy for money, greedy for politics, greedy for women.
No.
But they didn't even use that.
So like you mentioned mafhum al-mukhalafa. Maybe some viewers don't know what that
brother,
means.
You could explain that.
Okay,
we'll explain that, inshallah.
The understanding of mukhalif, of differences.
The opposition.
The opposition of the narration. Yeah, but inshallah, you have to study for that. Also,
See, I told you. It's stopping me coming on Speaker's Corner. Look at this. Anyway, so now what I want to do, I'm going to just repeat it one more time and I'm going to get to a science book now. Because he said, however, such marriages were almost certainly not consummated until both parties had entered adulthood, which Arabs in the 7th century tended to reach at an early age than Westerners today. So, this is Colin Turner. If you're watching this, salute to you. And Karen Armstrong, salute to you too, with your fairness and your partiality. Now what we're going to do is present a science book. And we're going to present now, because he said Arab women in the 7th century reached puberty earlier than Westerners today. So get your 21st century progressive, worldview. Understand as an academic. As a hater, do what you do. Baitul Ghadir, you ain't got no principles anyway.
Don't label that until you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't label people until you don't know. Yeah, probably now you might see it like that. Fair enough, your view, you're right. Yeah, let's say the times have changed and all that. But don't label a person based on these things when it wasn't used ever. Against
based on the worldview. Okay, so as I said, so now we're going to go to a book. It's a hefty book as well. It's called Woman, from Ploss and Bartels. A science book from, I think it was German scientists, who did a 3-volume, look at it. 1 to 4 volumes, all about women.
This is volume 1?
This is volume 1. Okay, very heavy. Pick this up, Sheikh.
It's pretty heavy.
Heavy. Sheikh, you can have that. Just pick it up with one hand.
Yeah.
It's a hefty book. I'm talking research here, ain't no joke. Sheikh, you do it as well. Pick it up. It's a hefty book. and there's 4 of them. I've got them at home. Look at this as well. The book is quite old as well. Look at this. So it's all about women. So I'll give you just a brief example of what he's put. So he's put the accessory sexual characteristics. Then he's got a chapter called Beauty in Oceania, Beauty in Africa. Then he's got head deformation and facial mutilation, the female pelvis. So it's a depth in. They know what they're talking about. By the way, they know what they're talking about. So let's go to what he mentioned about. I'll read that because obviously it's gone on my head. Check, open that. Just read the part which is underlined in red, and then obviously I'll present it.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, where the bookmark is.
Let the brother read it out loudly.
No. Can you just read that one there?
However, such marriages were almost certainly not consummated until both parties has entered adulthood, which Arabs in the 7th century tended to reach at the earliest age than Westerners today.
Okay. Now we've got a book, okay? So it's the chapter, heavy book, I think it's really heavy. It's got the chapter of sexual maturity and puberty in women, okay? And the chapter of the appearance of menstruation, okay? This is the chapter. And under the subcategory called climatic influences
Okay, remember you mentioned in this speaker's corner. Actually.
I did.
You did.
I did. And I'm not talking from my desires, I'm talking from my head, just because as a Muslim I'm biased and, you know, I'm quoting from scientific works. And Sheikh, you lifted this book. Sheikh Nasser, it's heavy. You know what I mean? The medieval legends and accounts of the Amazons and oh, sorry.
Good thing that he came to...
I don't want to read that.
Good thing he mentioned about Amazon, because if you watch these documentaries, you on Amazon, people that are still living there and all that, they still follow that custom.
طبعا. The Bedouins still do till today.
They still follow that. And you'll see the famous, documentaries that happen about animal life, planet Earth and all that. But there's one about talking about Amazon forest and all that. And you see a tribe.
The tribe.
And they show the marriage of a tribe. You see young
girls.
But the thing is,
and that's still happening.
I was also studying the church fathers. You know, they actually write in their books that Mary was 12 and Joseph was 90 years old when they married.
I'll tell you
something. Did they have an issue about it?
Exactly.
No, I mean in that book that you were reading.
The church fathers brought the evidence. No, of course not.
Oh, he brought the evidence.
Yeah. So Mary was 12 when she married Joseph, and Joseph was 90 years old.
I'll tell you, there's a brother on Facebook, Allah Yubarik Fihi, I'm trying to find it, Marvin G. Castro, Allah Yubarik Fihi. He put up quite a number of posts.
From the Torah?
Yeah. From the Talmud. A lot of, like fatwa, the Talmud is more like a fatwa-based oral narration. And you read them, didn't you?
I just glanced at
it. Wallah, I think he presented so much narrations and so much quotes from the Talmudic rabbis in terms of this, and it's all amongst the monotheistic religions, the ones who are fair understand this, but the ones that are not and have got an agenda won't accept it. So there's a chapter here, I'm just going to go just to show you how in-depth this book is, Woman from Ploss and Bartels, the growth of hair on the body, density, disposition and colour. Look at this, look at the in-depth he's going into. It's a real interesting book. So we get to our point, and he's quoting here, look at this. The medical Talmudists paid much attention to the signs of puberty and recognized many. So you see, it's like a very interesting book. So let's go to climatic influences. Look at this quote here. He says, the average yearly temperature of the country or province is considered the chief factor here, not only with regard to menstruation, but as regards the whole sexual development at puberty. Okay? I'll repeat that again. From Ploss Bartels, women. I heard. Ploss Bartels, women. Okay, I'll read it again. It's very, very interesting, because what did Colin Turner say? They reached the age of puberty, and the president would have certainly consummate the marriage when both reach adulthood and at the age of puberty. Because the women in the 7th century Arabia would have reached that stage earlier than Westerners today. So let's read this again. The average yearly climate of the country or province is considered the chief factor here, not only with regard to menstruation, but as regards the whole sexual development at puberty. Okay? So we're talking science here. Then he says, they kind of go, Rabbarowski, Jobert and Roth and many others have collected and collated statistics on the subject to which readers are referred, and has summarized one of these data as follows. So look at this, subhanAllah, look at the statistic. He basically confirms the statistics of women that reach the age of puberty. And comparing the provinces and the countries. So look at this. I'll quote hot countries and then I'll compare it to Europe. Calcutta, 12 years and 6 months. Compare it to Oslo, 16 years, 9 months. We'll move on. Akhmin, Egypt, 10 years. Compare it to somewhere like Copenhagen, 16 years and 9 months. You see the catch I'm giving here? Hotter climate, they reach the age of menstruation and are ready for sexual development sooner. Let's carry on. Sierra Leone, 10 years. We go to Europe. We go to Vienna, 15 years, 8 months. You see the pattern I'm giving you here? Hotter climate, they reach the age quicker. Puberty and menstruation quicker. Let's give one more example. Deccan is in India, 13 years. We go to European city, Stockholm. No, did I say Stockholm or didn't?
You haven't. Stockholm, Sweden.
Stockholm. I didn't say Stockholm, did I? Stockholm here is... I've just lost it. It's just disappeared from my eyes. Stockholm. Anyway, we'll go to Göttingen. That's in Sweden as well, I think. 16 years, 2 months. Swedish Lapland, 18 years. Skiing, 15 years. Vienna, 15 years and 8 months and 15 days. Warsaw, 15 years. Lyons in France, Lyons, 15 years. Neems 14 years. But look at the countries in hotter climates. You see this? You see the statistics I'm giving here. So we resort back. Yeah, we get onto this now. So we've just confirmed again that these are the two books, Western academics and Women Plus and Bartels, scientifically prove that the average climate, hotter countries reach the age of menstruation quicker and sexual puberty, as the professors confirmed. Now we're going to get to now.
Have a little break before you hit that?
Yeah. We could have a little break, about a couple of minutes, inshallah. Okay, so. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.